On the Celebrity Hotline right now is an extremely successful recording artist, actress, and a New York Times best-selling author. She has performed all over the world and is the daughter of legendary Rat Pack member, the King of Cool, Dean Martin. Please welcome to Life and Laughs podcast, the incredible Miss Deana Martin. Yes.
Hey. Oh, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
And to see, my guys behind.
What an
I'm just
honor,
hanging out
Deana.
with them.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
what an honor. Welcome, Pally, as you would say. How are you doing?
I am doing very well. It's I know it's strange to say it's nice to be home, because we've never been home this long in, forever. Usually when we're not going through what we're going through now, we're on the road 280 days out of the year doing
Wow.
shows all over that's not 280 shows. It's, it's packing, it's getting to the one place, 2 airplane stops and then TV interviews and then packing and unpacking and then the shows. So it's we've had this house for about 15 years, and this is the longest time we've spent here in all that. And yeah.
Is that in Branson? I believe Branson.
Yes. We have our rehearsal studio where we do the show every week, and it's last Friday was the 30th week we've been doing it.
I saw that. I love your shows on Facebook Live. I love that.
Oh, thank you very much. So it's fun.
When you're doing all the traveling, are you flying? Are you tour busing? How are you doing all that traveling?
We're flying. Now, John and I are both pilots.
Yes, I saw that.
What happened is that, and John is also, he kind of books me. I've got an agent who does that. But when John books me, it seems that it's LA one day, and then the next day it's in New York, and then and then the next day it's in Miami, and then it's up in Seattle. So it's like for taking our plane, it's too hard to do because it's 8 hours bottle to throttle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so I want to have a glass of wine after or a sippy poo after a show. So rather than packing up, getting on the plane and flying, we found it's much easier just to go commercially. And I don't have to worry about anything. But I miss flying because because it's so fun. It really is.
Right.
When's the last time that you flew a plane?
Well, it has to be a year. It has to be at least a year. We sent our plane to Springfield, Missouri to have its annual. But that was it's more than a year ago because they're trying to find parts. And But it's a beautiful 310, Cessna. So
nice.
So it's nice to be here.
Well, I sure appreciate you being here today. Now, you were born in Manhattan, but you grew up in Beverly Hills with your dad, Dean. Describe what that was like, and tell us a little bit about your dad as a person.
Oh, he was just unbelievable. What you saw when you would see him on the Dean Martin show, that's him. Funny, kind. He hugged everybody. That's who he was. But really, really funny and sweet. But imagine growing up, a big, beautiful house in Beverly Hills, and Dean Martin is your dad. He was the king of cool. Elvis, taught me that. He's the one who told me that. But my dad was he was very Italian. He's an Italian dad, and we respected him, and we did everything. None of us were ever bad because we didn't want to disappoint him. We were good kids. Because if we ever did anything wrong, now here's the thing: your sisters and brothers would say, "Uh-oh, you're going in the den this week. Dad's taking you into the den." I go, "No, not the den." And so then he would come home, like 5:30, because he would come home every night, after he played golf or work. And then I have to wait in the den. So I'd go and I'd sit in the den, and he'd open the door, close the door. And there he is, in a V-neck cashmere sweater. And he says, "Deana," and the tears are already coming down my face. I said, "Yes." He said, "Tell your mom I was really tough on you. Okay?" I said, "Okay." He says, "All right. And you'll never be late for dinner again, right?" "I'll never be late again." And then he would close it. He said, "Okay, I'll see you at dinner." And so that's as bad as it got. But we never wanted to disappoint him. That's all he had to do was, "Oh, you're going to the den." and then never did any. And he was just so cute and sweet. But imagine, I had 6 brothers and sisters. We had a tennis court, a pool, a pool table, and 7 kids running around, each one funnier than the next. And so it was good. It was tough when we went to live there, but it's all in my book. Memories are made of this. Dean Martin through his daughter's eyes. We are going to make it into a movie. But you go through life. But there was just something about my dad and his friends, of course, Uncle Frank and Uncle Sammy, and maybe Sammy Kahn would be at our house playing the piano. He wrote "Ain't That a Kick in the Head" and Time After Time. So all fabulous people that would come over, and they were just our friends, my dad's friends. I went to Beverly Hills Catholic School with Desi Arnaz Jr., Lucy Jr., Anita Montalban, Ricardo Montalban. So we all kind of grew up, in Beverly Hills, and everybody was nice. We didn't have these creepy kids, back then. There were, people respected their parents. Yes, thank you. Please, thank you. And it was different. Growing up then. I don't think that parents are teaching their children very well right now. And I don't want to get preachy, but boy, you know what? There was something about respect and doing the right thing. Yeah,
I agree.
My father was just fantastic, and he cared about things, and he was just fun, especially when he would take me to the driving range and taught me how to hold a club and and play golf. And he always, you'd come into our house and he'd be walking around with a golf club in his hand, practicing his grip. We had big, thick green shag carpeting, so it was like the fairway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you lived in Beverly Hills, I think you said you lived on Mountain Drive. I think I saw that in one of your
Yes.
videos, which is in the Hillcrest. I think Hillcrest is somewhere near there. I think not too far.
So Mountain Drive, it was like a mountain. It was a U shape, and so it would start on Sunset, go up and around, and back to Sunset. To the right, it was Hillcrest, and to the left, which would have been west, was Foothill. And so it was right there. We had the Hamburger Hamlet down the street, off of Doheny Road, and you could walk places, and it was a very, very nice place. Now, up behind us, when you'd go up Hillcrest, then you would go up into Truesdale. Yes. And Truesdale would take you up and over and down, and then you'd get onto Coldwater Canyon, and then you can go over to the valley and everything. Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Elvis had a home not too far from there. Now, what I found when I went out there, because I wanted to look up some of these homes, Frank Sinatra, your dad, and so,
right.
But it looked like all of them, they tore them all down and built new houses on those. Is the house you grew up with your dad, is it still there?
No, and what a shame, because it's so beautiful. And it was just gorgeous, 601 Mountain Drive. But when we sold it, I'm trying to think, people who owned some furniture store, they tore it down and put up some, it looks like, I don't know what it looks like now, but it used to be, a beautiful home. It's beautiful now, but it's big modern box. Okay.
Right.
Which is fine, but different from when we grew up. But a lot of the houses have been torn down because people need bigger houses, it seems.
Yeah, that's so sad. That is so sad because of the history, the iconic level that not just your dad, but all of the members of the Rat Pack. Right. I hate that. That's history.
It is. And what a shame, because, growing up there, and I'm thinking, because Halloween is coming up, and we would all walk around and go to different, there's houses. We would go there, and we'd go to the witch's house. And now a lot of those houses aren't there anymore. Or we'd go over to Lucille Ball's house and Desi. They're right on Roxbury. And that house, it's not like that anymore. So it's changed quite a bit. But, it's still, when I go through there all the time, and I remember all the beautiful homes that were there that were just not rustic. I mean, they were gorgeous, but they weren't those huge, mansions that we're seeing today. But yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Well, your dad being who he was, he made it possible for you to meet some of the most famous people in the world at an early age. For example, Marilyn Monroe. I mean, that's incredible. She used to come to your house. What was it like meeting her, and maybe Elvis
Yes.
Presley?
Marilyn was just, she was so special. In fact, she came over to the house one night. She was actually going to take Dino, my brother Dean Paul, to a Dodger game. All right. And so she came by and we're, sitting around. And so my brother Dean Paul, we did the twist to, let me see, Bobby Darin singing Up a Lazy River. So here I am with my brother doing the twist from Marilyn Monroe, to Bobby Darin singing The Lazy River. And so the memories are just, remarkable that I have. And we were just so lucky and so fortunate to, a blended family. We came, I'm from the first marriage, and then they got, divorced, and we went and we moved in with, Jeannie, my stepmom, who's mom. And, how she made us all feel it was fabulous. We're one big blended, family. Craig, Claudia, Gail, Deana, Dino, Ricky, Gina, and now Sasha. So all of us, it was pretty wild to be there. The phone would ring and someone would say, "It's for Deana." Go, "It's for Dean?" "No, Jean?" "No, Gina." Why did they name everybody the same name? But it worked.
Did your dad ever forget and call you the wrong name? You know how parents get just frustrated and Dean, no. Dean.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Speaking of the wrong name, I remember Dad came home one night with beautiful little gold bracelets for the girls, for all of us, with a little heart, and it would have our name on it. So there's one for Claudia, for Gail, for Gina, and for Deana, but my name was spelled Dina. Now, I know he didn't sit down and say, "No, it's Dean with an A." He probably said, "I want one for Claudia, one for Gail, one for Gina, and one for Deana." And so, I looked at it and, I thought, oh, I wish it was I wish it was the way I see my name. So I'm still to this day, kind of crazy when people mispronounce my name. Why they think it's Deana, I have no idea. It's just Dean, with it. And, but he felt horrible about that. And he had another one made for me, because, and he said, "Yeah, I understand, Deana. It's okay." And I still to this day don't know why. When you see the name Dean, do you say Deanne? No.
No.
Nope. Nope.
Say Dean, right? And I learned at Beverly Hills Catholic School, when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking.
There you go.
Oh, nice. I've never heard that.
Same rules do not apply to Starbucks baristas, though. They spell it a different way.
No, yeah, you're right. Or in neighboring way. There's a lot of different things in the English language. But,
well, you have been in many plays and movies, and with such stars as George Hamilton, Angie Dickinson, Robert Mitchum. What performances are you most proud of when it comes to your acting career?
I think that it was, well, first of all, I think my first play, Six Rooms, Riverview. No, that was the second, with Corbett Monica, and we just traveled all over the place. And I didn't even know who Corbett Monica was at the time, but it was such a funny play. And so that was my first. Then when I was doing Six Rooms, Star Spangled Girl with George Hamilton and Jimmy Boyd, we took over for the National Touring Company. So I was taking over for Connie Stevens. And so George Hamilton had never done a play. Jimmy Boyd had never done a play. They'd never been on stage. Yeah. And I had just, come back from Dartington College of Arts in England, where I was doing all the plays. So, I was I knew what I was doing. And that was the most fun, because it's a Neil Simon play. And it was, I ended up having to know all the lines for everybody, because they would, forget their lines. So I said, "Were you going to ask me?" So it was good. And George Hamilton he was great in the play. Wow. And Jimmy Boyd was so funny. Jimmy Boyd, "I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus." Remember Jimmy?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. And so, and Neil Simon's brother, Danny, he was the one who directed us. And we did all the rehearsals at George Hamilton's house in Beverly Hills. He had a big mansion there, and that's where we rehearsed the show. And it was quite something. That's one of the most fun, I think, that I had, and it was the hardest work, traveling all around. That's when you're doing a play. But doing Young Billy Young with Robert Mitchum and Angie Dickinson and Bobby Walker Jr., David Carradine, and John Carradine, being out on Old Tucson Street. It was something. Then, of course, going to
Incredible.
South Africa, that was a trip.
Oh, wow. I can
Oh yeah,
imagine.
yeah. It was something. So
Well,
I learned from the very best. You know what I mean? And what a pleasure! I love being on stage.
and you're very good, might I say. You were very, very polished, even at a young age. What was it like performing on stage at a young age with the legends, your dad, Frank
Yeah.
Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., as you call Uncle Sammy, Uncle Frank? What was
Yeah.
that like?
It was. Oh my gosh, a little overwhelming. But they were so professional, and I would watch my father all the time, and they made me feel comfortable. We could make mistakes, just like I do on Friday Live, with Deana. It's just we keep in the mistakes. Well, I can't cut them out because it's live. But
Yeah.
my dad had such a great way about him, and he was so easy with people, because I would go down to the Dean Martin show and watch him with Ella Fitzgerald or Peggy Lee or the Mills Brothers, or and he would just walk out there and sing with them, and he made people feel comfortable. And he didn't rehearse. He didn't go in all week. He
Oh,
would come in
wow.
on Sunday after he played golf, and then he would run through the show, and he was just brilliant how he could do that. But all during the whole week, Lee Hale, who was the musical director, he was the one who would rehearse with everyone. He would stand there with a note that said Dean on his chest. Okay, so he was playing Dean Martin. So Peggy
Yeah.
would come in and sing with Lee, or Sid Charisse would come in and dance with Lee Hale. And then on the day of the show, then they got the real thing. Then they got Dean Martin. But I don't know how he pulled it off with no rehearsals and coming in at 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. But he had cassette tapes, so he learned his songs in his car on his way, to the play golf. And so he knew his songs. He just didn't know anything else that was going to go on in those shows.
Yeah.
He was
It's like
brilliant.
everyone reacted to what he did. He was such a like you said, the king of cool.
Yeah.
It's hard to put into words exactly what he was. I would have given anything to be able to meet this man in person, because it's been said that he has a charisma and a charm like no
Oh,
other.
oh yeah, and he would have loved you. He loves people with a sense of humor. As I say, he was so funny, and he didn't care. He didn't want to try and make you laugh. It was humorous to himself. We would be out to dinner, and he would say, "Okay, well, I gotta go home now and finish my novel." And but he was, I'm writing your novel, Dad. But and he would just say things that were funny and not about anything in particular. He just had that sense of humor. He made everybody feel good, and people felt okay to come up and say hi to him because they knew he would be kind. Hard to come up to Uncle Frank, who was unbelievable. He was my absolute favorite pally ever. He was so good to me. He gave me, my first singing lesson, taught me how to phrase, how to live with a song. And he said, Deana, as you grow, your songs will sing, they'll change with you, because the lyrics will mean something different for you as you get older, and I would just watch him, because he'd say, Deana, don't sing it the same way every time. Try different things. My dad, of course, I'd say, Dad, what, like, he said, just stand there, know your lyrics, and sing from your heart, because my dad, I think, his voice was so perfect and beautiful and natural. I think he believed everybody could sing.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra, Uncle Frank had to work for it. He worked for every note. Boy, was he great. The phrasing and how he did it. So I was lucky to grow up with him, and Uncle Sammy teaching me how to tap dance and move and how to. Do you know that he was a quick draw? Do you know that Sammy Davis Jr. was I think he had a world's record in. I'm not saying guns, but he could. He was. I mean, I'm trying to think. I know I wrote about and everything, but he held world records on so many different things.
Wow.
But he was just the greatest guy, and boy, could he sing and dance, and he just made it, so much fun to be with him. I wore his tuxedo because, it was, he was my size, a little bit taller,
Uh-huh.
and and I danced around the house wearing that tuxedo, singing Mr. Bojangles and
Oh,
saying, I
wow.
wonder what it would be like to be on stage with Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and Sammy Davis Jr. And, I mean, dreams come true, if you work hard. And I worked hard. My dad would never, pick up the phone and say, put my daughter in this movie, or, he said, no, you got to work for it. You go in, you go to the cattle call, you do it with everybody else. I said, really? Yeah.
Oh, that's
He said,
incredible.
if you're good enough, you'll get it.
Oh,
So,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah.
great.
Well, I've got to ask you about this because I just saw the clip or the actual show of it last night. You were once a contestant on the dating game and picked
Oh,
another celebrity. Tell us about that experience and what happened on the show and after.
oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And yeah, I was so they had, so it was the dating game, and I was the bachelorette. I was contestant. Yeah, I was the bachelorette, and I went. And you have no idea who the three bachelors are. And in fact, so I sat down and you ask the questions, and then they answer it. So you can only do it depending on what their answers were. And I think I asked Steve, where would you take me on a date? And I think he said Western costuming. And I thought, oh my God, Western costume. I said, where? And he said, we can try on things. But it was, I think that answer that said, okay, this guy is fun and funny. He was actually, at the time, he was the writer for the Smothers Brothers show.
Mhm.
He
Yeah,
wasn't doing
yeah.
any stand up or anything yet. And so, but he was a writer for the Smothers Brothers, so he was funny, and
Yeah.
he was adorable. And so what happened was our trip was to Portofino, Italy.
Wow.
Unbelievable. But they had us, it was so difficult to get there because, we're getting ready. We have our passports, and we have to fly from LAX to New York, New York to London, London to Milan. And then you take a train, and then you take a taxi, and then you're
Whoa.
going up. Oh, it was insane. It took like forever up to Portofino. I got sick by then. I had like a
Oh
strep throat
no.
because
Oh,
all those things that they made us go through. But it was so much fun because he was hysterical. Our chaperone was hysterical. He was Steve's age, I think, and we had a great time. But there's something just so funny about him. We've kept in touch. And then when he became Steve Martin, one wild and crazy guy.
Hmm.
Wow, it was yeah,
yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah. So that was a fun. That was fun. In fact, we just got an email. They're trying to maybe do something for Steve Martin, and they want to recreate our dating game experience
Oh
Oh,
wow. That would be
wow.
awesome.
to do it today. It was funny. I was Don Williams, Andy Williams' brother, the
Yes.
Williams brothers. Well, it was his birthday on Saturday, and we went. He was 98 years old, and we went to see him. Everybody's had their masks and social
Mhm.
distancing, and I was talking about Christmas and the Williams brothers because I grew up with them, and I'm thinking about Christmas time and having so much fun. But to think that I could now sit down and sing Danny Boy to Don Williams on his 98th birthday, and just it was like we were back home, with
Mm.
everybody again. It was just remarkable. I lost my train of thought while what I was thinking about that, but
I
he's so,
saw that performance. That was incredible. I saw you
oh,
sing that, and it
oh,
just, oh, I mean,
oh,
that's one of those songs that brings out emotion anyway. But you told the story a little bit about that beforehand, and it
yeah.
just, you could feel it in your performance. I loved you doing that.
Oh, thank you. It was pretty scary, live, and I got choked up at the end because I hadn't gotten through it yet. When I rehearsed it a couple times, and I would cry. And John says, "That's okay. It's okay. Go ahead and cry." I said, "No, because I'll just, it was it was just pretty crazy." But Don, and I'm thinking about all the Williams brothers and all the people that we knew, and growing up with Andy Williams, and he recorded the song with me on my White Christmas album. He recorded White Christmas with me. And so that's, so it's getting to be Christmas time again. And just, remembering that. It's funny, we'd go out to dinner, and if, I'd be with my dad, and Andy Williams would walk in, and my dad would say, "Hey, Christmas, come here." He called him Christmas because of all the beautiful Christmas shows that he would have. And, just great memories of growing up during that time and meeting all these people.
Sure. Well, what can people expect to see and hear at a Deana Martin concert?
Oh my God, I can't wait to get back out there and do that. Well, you know what? So now there's a lot of new songs that I've been learning and having Rick Creevy, my musical director, write arrangements for me. He's in Boca Raton and we're here. So it's like someone will say, well, Deana, why don't you do Send Me the Pillow You Dream On? And I go, oh, that's a good idea. So I call Rick. I say, send me the pillow you dream on. He says, okay, let's figure out a key. Then he'll send me a piano version of it. And we'll say, okay, the key's not right. And I'll send it back and he'll say, okay, should we put some background vocals? I said, yes, some background. So then he'll do the back and then he'll send it to me. I go, yeah, that's good. No, you're too loud in this. So back and forth. So getting back to what we'll be doing on a Deana Martin show when we get back out onto the road is a lot of the new songs that we have been doing right now that I have not recorded. And because when I'm down here in my rehearsal room, I have my TV tracks. When I do an album, we have the tracks and I sing. And what we do is we take my voice out so that it just plays the music. Like when I do a TV show, they'll play the music and I can sing, live. And so that's what we do. But there's all these new songs that people have been requesting me to do that I don't have any, tracks for. So Rick is doing it. And I'm very, very happy because he's probably one of the only musicians who's getting paid right now during all of this. So that's why we're all trying to go get back on the road. But they can expect, great songs, wonderful music. I have my dad's sense of humor, of course.
Yes, I've seen that. I love it.
It's just there. And when I do the duet, True Love with my dad, and we
love
have
that
beautiful videos and pictures, and it's kind of hard to get through it, but they'll see that, and because we have big screens up, and so they have a lot of humor, a lot of fabulous musicians, and just great music, great arrangements. And when I do That's Amore, although I don't know if I can do this anymore, I go out into the audience and everybody sings That's Amore with me. And so now we'll see how we're going to do it. I can do it from the stage, but it's such a fun part to go out into the audience and everybody, and some of them are just terrible. That's Amore. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. It's even better. And
right.
Because I usually ask for 3 volunteers to come up to sing Memories Are Made of This with me, and they'll do the sweet, sweet, the memories you gave to me, and they'll be up on stage with me because I was at the original recording of Memories Are Made of This at Capitol Studios. I went with my mom. I watched my dad record that, and he had the 3 backup singers, and they were called the Easy Riders. And, so they went through it maybe twice, and then the producer said, okay, I think we got a hit. And it was his first #1 hit. I was there. Wow. Memories Are Made of This. And so that's why I named my book, Memories Are Made of This, Dean Martin Through His Daughter's Eyes. So in my show, I asked for 3 volunteers to come up, and they're my backup singers. And then I'll leave them up there for That's Amore. And I go out in the audience. And so that's a lot of fun. We'll see how it goes now. Mm-hmm. But just great music, fun, beautiful musicians that are, I get the best. And, I learned from the very best. And so, it's all the music, and it just makes people happy. And I'm dying to get back out there. And I'm not dying to pack and unpack, but because there's a lot of stuff, because I have, some long beaded gowns and, stuff. So it's a lot of stuff. It's so worth it. And right now it's so worth doing these Friday shows. It's a lot of work, and it takes us, forever. We write it and figure out the songs. And, poor John and Rosario, we're sitting here, just down here doing it. And it's been remarkable. A couple months, 200,000 views, and, over 11 million people have seen those little Friday afternoon things. And so it's quite something. And the touching stories that I get from people, the messages they send me, they're saying you're just like a, sunlight on a Friday afternoon, and you're making it so nice for me. And, it's rewarding. It's a lot of work, and I'm happy to do it. It's giving back, and people are just loving it.
You mentioned that your book was going to be turned into a movie. Have we seen any progression on that? Or can you even talk about it?
Well, we just spoke to one of the producers night before last, See, because everything was put on hold. I mean, everything. So so it's great when we're talking. Still have not figured out who Dean Martin could be. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I want an unknown person but they've got to be, they've got to have it. It's so hard to cast Dean Martin. Joe Mantegna did a great thing. He was great in the movie, when he played my dad, respectful and great, and wonderful. He doesn't want to play dad. He'd like to direct it. Now, Joe is a fabulous guy. But, trying to find someone who is tall, dark, handsome, funny, has it, cool, and who can sing and act. I don't want an impersonator. I want, so a really good actor who can do all of that. And I'm sure we'll find someone. I have asked people to send in names of, people that they think, could do it. And, so that's been great. We always get the, Michael Bublé, Harry Connick Jr. Someone said, it was funny. Who said, someone said Jack Scalia. I said, if we got Jack Scalia to play my dad, I could play me,
Yeah.
Oh gosh, so it's funny, it's fun. And I was going to have Jennifer Love Hewitt play me. She's adorable and and a good actress. So it's moving along. Once this is over and we can get into production and everything, that will be fantastic. Can't wait. And we're taking our time. It doesn't have to be rushed. It has to be done right with the respect that he deserves, and and all of us, because it's a wild and crazy life we've had. So yeah.
It's hard to adapt. I know Elias, he is a comedian that travels the country. So he's faced that same thing of doing what you're doing kind of on your Friday afternoon show. Tell us about the difference between performing for an audience and performing for your camera.
There's no applause. There's no laughter. And I'll say something, and I hit the high note and everything. Then so I'm looking at John and Rosario. I say, clap, you say that, yay. But the first one was, I told a joke, and, and usually I get a lot of laughter. But so you would know, if you're there, you're doing, and it's just you, yes. And they're, am I bombing? Am I killing?
Right.
Is it great? Is it?
Right. That laughter is the payoff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
And it also spurs on your next move on stage when you have that feedback.
Yeah, and it sparks something, and then you think of something else. It doesn't have to be, the same all the time. And someone will, I remember, my God, some, hecklers, for my dad. I remember I was 9 years old. I'm at the Sands Hotel in the Copa Room, sitting ringside. And, this, ladies and gentlemen, the Sands Hotel is proud to present the star of our show, direct from the bar, Dean Martin. And my dad would walk out and everybody would go, oh, there he is. And I would go, oh, there he is. In his tuxedo, he looked great, had a drink in his hand. And then he would sing and he made people laugh. And, it was like you were at home with him.
Yeah.
And people felt at home with him. And I knew when I saw him doing that that's what I wanted to do. And then it was, for sure, when I went to Capitol Studios and saw him, with the big orchestra and everybody loved him. And he was so easy about it. So it's... and
you got to perform. You actually recorded there a couple of times, I believe. But recently, your latest album, I think, is that the one you recorded back at Capitol Records?
Swing Street. Swing Street was some of my dad. Yeah, with Patrick Williams, who was, he was conducting and arranging. But fabulous arrangements, unbelievable musicians. And then just walking down the hallway at Capitol Studios and seeing all the pictures on the wall of Bobby Darin, and the Beach Boys and Nat King Cole. And, I'm pointing out all of these things, So just walking down to Studio A was remarkable. And then walking in and seeing Nat King Cole's piano. And, and then you walk in and I had my dad's microphone. So it was quite something. And that's where, and I was doing True Love with the original handwritten arrangement that Nelson Riddle had done for my dad. So I had that when he recorded True Love. Cole Porter, fabulous. And so it was pretty overwhelming. It was hard to get through. because we put down the new track, and then I had the headset on, and I'm hearing my dad's voice. So it was hard to get through. And the engineer at Capitol was Al Schmidt. Al Schmidt was the engineer that did Natalie Cole and Nat King Cole's Unforgettable. Okay, so I knew I was in good hands. I always loved him. But they put it together so beautifully. True Love, and I could hardly get through it, but we did, and it's fabulous.
It did. It turned out wonderful. I love that album. I got to ask you this because you mentioned about your dad coming from the bar, and I've heard you say, I wanted to ask you about this again, that a lot of times he would not be drinking on stage like people thought. Is that correct?
It's so funny. It's funny that you mention it. Henry Silva, the actor,
Yes.
Henry Silva, he's a very dear friend. He just turned 90. We just called him. And he said, Deana, because he went to see my dad one night, and we're having dinner, just Henry and his girlfriend and John and myself. We're having dinner at the restaurant or something that's down on Doheny Road. And he said, now, Deana, he said, I went to see your dad's show. I went backstage to see him, and I see it's Martinelli's apple cider. He said, what is that? I said, don't tell anybody. You won't tell anybody, will you? So that was his image. But he said, how can you get up and do a show? And, I think people think that it was really, I don't want to give away any secrets, but he'd have a drink now and then. But, that's his image of, drinking all the time. It was not true. He said, how on earth could I ever? In fact, the one time that I saw him do an interview with, could have been Dinah Shore. And, he was talking with her, and he said, Dinah, he said, how could I do a show, do all the work that I do, and be someone that they think, is drinking all the time? I said, it's true. Because he never talked about it. He just, he was just cool.
Well, you can find out about Deana's appearances and upcoming events, as well as purchase her latest album called Swing Street at deanamartin.com. You can also see her performing live on her Facebook page every Friday, 3 p.m. Central Time at facebook.com/Deana Martin official page. Deana, it really has. It's been such an honor to have you. I can't even put into words the honor to have you on the show today. We wish you so much success in the world, and we both say cheers to you.
Well, cheers. We'll have a little sippy poo. I hope I didn't talk your ears off. I'm a
No,
okay.
We loved it. We loved it. In fact, before I let you go, do you have anything upcoming that we can expect from you as far as albums or any appearances or anything?
Well, the albums that will be coming, and putting together all of these songs that we're doing, and there's about 20 new ones now, which is great. And so I might even have just a country album, because of all the, the Little Old Wine Drinker Me and Houston and Gentle on My Mind, and, Send Me the Pillow. So all those Dean Martin songs that people have wanted me to sing. So I'll have those. I started in country.
I was going to say, I believe you got your start singing country.
Yes, I did. Girl of the Month Club and When He Remembers Me. But I believe in December we'll be in South Carolina, 3 shows. I can't just say exactly yet. So there'll be Christmas shows. But if they just go onto deanamartin.com and, go to the website, and they can see, I'll post where I'm going to be. And, we have a documentary that will be coming out. And so there's stuff. We're just stuck right now, but having a good time.
Yes. Well, we cannot thank you enough for being here today. One of the best honors of our lives. And on behalf of Elias and I, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And I love your hats. I have hats just like that. Okay.
Well, we tip our hat to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. See you next time. See you
Yes,
Friday.
ma'am.
Okay. See you Friday.
God bless you.
Okay. Bye-bye.